were worshippers of the god of the sunset, the Da Rua, the red god. And a priest of that order would be called a Chela Da Rua, a servant of the red god. And with a very common thing that happens with language nowadays, we drop the first term. We drop the substantive for the adjective. That process has continued all through time in language. So Chela Da Rua became Da Rua, and Da Rua became Drua or Druid. So that's how the confusion arises between the Druids of Ireland, the Druids of the continent. They have the same name, but for different reasons. Possibly a lot of the fame and esteem that the Druids earned for their knowledge and wisdom derived from the fact that members of the order were among them. And we have that, I think, manifested best in the case of Lugar Lugar, whose burial place we'll go to visit. Lugar was the most important Druid of his time, also a member of the order, and appears to have been an ancestor of mine.
For many centuries, priest-kings ruled the kingdoms of Ireland. In the 12th century, the leadership function was split in two. The Herenach took care of the worldly matters, while the bishop was responsible for spiritual affairs. Both were hereditary functions until 1699.
The genealogies have been manipulated by early Christian historians to suit their own ends. But I am connected with the diocese of the two Kilmores. A Herenach of the two Kilmores could only come from the one bloodline, which is mine. And Lugar is the ancestor of the earliest recorded Herenach of the two Kilmores. He is the one who is named as the ancestor of nearly the whole pantheon of early Irish saints.
According to official history, the archdruid Duftar MacLugar was baptized by St. Patrick in the 5th century. Duftar was the son of Lugar MacLugar. The same Duftar MacLugar was the father of St. Bridget.
If we go to the early history of Christianity in this country, the traditional view is that St. Patrick came here as a captive in the 5th century. But by our tradition is that if ever he existed, he came here in the 2nd century. Thomas Carlyle, the great English writer, historian, he was told once that there were 30,000 words written to prove that St. Patrick came to Ireland. And he said that there are just as many lies. There's a great corpus of written material about St. Patrick and early Christianity in Ireland. Maybe not so well known, but it's loaded with anecdotes and tales about the interaction of the Druids with St. Patrick and his followers and the conflicts between them, and how, above all, the only one who was able to smooth over the problems was Lugar and his descendants. And Lugar is in the annals, which are definitive, but were altered to suit. Lugar, with a number of other filla and scribes, was given the job by St. Patrick of transcribing, putting into writing for the first time, the traditions of the Shenkis Mór. The Shenkis Mór was the great corpus of knowledge. It's well known to modern scholars that the genealogies were meddled with. The lists of the kings were meddled with to fit in with a time scale that was wrong, and to phase out the pagan influence, which was still there, to endeavour to phase it out. So our annals start with the year 432, our written annals, which is the year in which St. Patrick is claimed to have arrived. And to me, I can see Lugar as one of these great characters who emerge in a few generations and totally transform the character of a society. It has happened. But because of the conflicts between paganism, Christianity, he is written out of history, ultimately. I look on him as the inventor of Christianity after St. Paul. St. Paul invented the Roman Christianity. Lugar and his group were the philosophers who laid out the main tenets of pure Christianity. What we recognize as pure Christianity was the old religion carried